1, 2, check Chuffy 1, 2. Hi, you're with Scott, I'm Ganji Kid. It's midnight. It's always midnight. Am I streaming on YouTube or Twitch? I don't even know. YouTube, yeah, got it. 1, 2, check Chuffy 1,
And I've got the sound check. So it's midnight, it's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. We are live. Live. Unlike Madeleine McCann, who sadly is dead. Oh, shouldn't have said that straight away, should I? Shouldn't have said that straight away. It is sad that a little girl has died in these horrible circumstances, so it is sad. I should be reasonably respectful, but of course it's many years later now, and I'm not here as a stand-up comedian, but little jokes like I just did then, they might pop out. You never know. Yes, I've got a blemish on my face. Yes, I did. I don't know if you noticed a few weeks ago. You didn't notice big, did you? But I had a bit of a swelling on my face a few weeks ago because I had literally a spider bite. Literally, I woke up in the night. There was this spider like tiggling around. It's one of those false widow chuffers. I sat on my face in the night. The little spider was above my bed. I know it was a spider bite. I know it. I just know it. The way it swelled up. Anyway, yesterday the day before I had a good pick at it. So because all the swelling went down, but the little tough bit where the spider bit me, that hasn't gone away. So I had a good pick at it, didn't I? I had a good pick. So yes, I've got a blemish on my face. We're picking up from where we were, not yesterday. I had to miss yesterday due to a family birthday. We're picking up from where we were a day ago. Before we start, you can find me on Twitter. Twitter. You can find me on Twitter, Scott Ganji Kid, at Informal Films. You can find me there if you want to tweet me. If I want to tweet, I've got a button for the bugging stuff. Twitch, YouTube. I'm on YouTube now, aren't I? Press the button. I press that button, it should tweet for me. Let's see it. Oh, can you hear that beeping? Got the window open, I can hear the fucking bin men beeping there. It's going to get on my nerves today. I can tell it's going to get on my nerves. You've got the bin men coming and going. You've got the Amazon coming and going. You got Mum's boyfriend hammering fucking nails in the wall for some reason. It's going to get on my tits today. I can feel it. So give me a minute. Where's my tweet? I just pressed the button, you chuffer. There you go. Look, yeah, tweet on the button. So you can buy me a coffee on coffee.com. Simple system. We get Snippies gives me tippies. Other people do as well. We get tippies in this system, and that helps me to eat, basically. So thank you very much for that. Yesterday we gave about 40 quid to charity, so I was pleased with that. That's something that we do. It's like part of our raison d'etre. So we managed to give our 40 notes to charity yesterday. You're listening to the relaxing music from Genshin Impact, and we're going to be talking about Madeleine McCann's disappearance, her death, and the fact that the head of the Portuguese police wrote a book. The head of the Portuguese police was on the case, and if I type in Madeleine, fucking spelling, Madeleine McCann, the head of the Portuguese police wrote a book. It was in the news recently again because their parents, not the Daily Mail, you fucking idiot, what am I doing supporting those right-wing dickheads? So her parents lost the challenge to the libel case. Now they are looking smart and tidy, aren't they, with their millions of pounds? Because they've got millions of pounds because people donated millions of pounds to the Madeleine McCann Help Find Madeleine Fund, and then years later they changed that to the Madeleine McCann Give Money to Her Parents Fund. So they put themselves on the board of directors and they took loads of money, and all that money was generated by them and some media people. When she first disappeared, the Daily Mail, some right-wing people, a couple of lawyers and a media person went and got involved and got on their team, and they've been teamed up and they've made fucking loads of money and they've kept it for themselves. That's what happened with that. That's a fact. They're the facts. I'm not going to get slandered or libelled off the internet for that. So they've kept all that money. I think it's disgusting. You know, you could have at least, even if you're not going to find her because she's dead, you know, even if that, you could have at least given the money to a fucking charity, couldn't you? You didn't have to keep it all for yourself, you fucking skanky. Like, he's a surgeon, she's a GP, they got money, you know, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they were struggling. Well, certainly they're not struggling now. They're millionaires. They've met the Pope thanks to their daughter being dead, and they're managed to hiding it convincingly. So that's Madeleine McCann and the parents. I'm not saying slander and libel because they've been in court recently where Goncalo Amaral, he was ordered to pay €500,000 to her parents, but an appeal overturned the decision. And the Supreme Court found against the McCanns. So it's not slander or libel to suggest they killed their daughter, because it's all in this book written by the lead detective on the case. The lead detective on the case was eventually binned off, but, we've got the book. So we're here. Get used to it. We were reading it through yesterday, and we'll pick up today where we left off. Chapter 8, A Man with a Child in His Arms. If you want to find out what was going on yesterday, it's really easy. We've got this channel. You're watching the fucker. So you just go Ganji Kid, this is the channel, and then you just hit videos, and you'll see down here, look, what we've been doing. I'm going to upload some more Genshin Impact today. That's going to happen after this event, after this news live. But as you can see, we're a variety stream channel. I stream on Twitch. I actually also stream on a B-side channel. So if you go to the channels, you'll see all the different channels we make here. They're worth checking out. Battery Exhausted being the B-side. When I'm upstairs in my scruffy attic bedroom doing the B-side. So I've also been streaming there as well. All sorts of things going on here. All sorts of things to keep up with. So take a look at that. Subscribe. Honestly though, if you're watching this, hit me a like. Eh? Why not? What's the deal? Why not? There's only one of them. Little clicky of a like. It helps immensely. Throw me a like. Throw me a like, you chuffer. Even if you don't like it, this isn't my material. I'm just reviewing what's been said by the lead investigator of the Madeleine McCann investigation in a book that they tried to ban. They tried to say was slander and libel, libel and slander, lander and slibel. They tried to get it banned, but it's not, and they hadn't. So instead, we've got stuff to read, and it's translated from Portuguese, and I'll be reading it, and I'll be commenting on what we get through as we go. If we get there, we can maybe look at some of the Rich D. Hall interesting investigation after this. We're planning to look at the embedded confessions in the interviews they gave. Of course, there's not many recorded interviews of the McCanns anymore because they've tried to get them all deleted off the internet with their important and impressive right-wing legal media team. They're in league with the devil here. They're in league with the right-wing newspapers. Because Madeleine McCann's story sells a lot of papers, doesn't it? It makes a lot of money for people. And all that money got redistributed between the right-wing media people who organised the campaign with them, their lawyers, and they kept a lot of it. So, there we go. In a way, actually, I'm being flippant there, but in a way, I would say that when Jerry discovered that Kate was in the... Like, when Jerry went back to the apartment and saw Kate on the floor with the dead Madeleine, oh my God, Jerry. Oh my God, she's dead, Jerry. We shouldn't have given her those sedatives, Jerry. Oh my God, they're going to take the other kids off us, Jerry. Jerry said, listen, pull your shit together, you silly bitch. He said, listen, I'm a surgeon, I'm a cold-hearted bastard. It's time to go into cold-hearted mode. We're going to dispose of Madeleine's body. I mean, we're going to bury her. Respectfully. And no one else needs to know. This is our daughter between us. But if they do know, you'll lose your children, Kate. So don't fucking tell anyone. And I'm not taking the blame. You're not taking the blame. We'll just dispose of her body. No one will ever know. In fact, we'll say it was pedos. It's big in the news at the moment, Kate. It was at the time. Moral panics and folktales. Big in the news. We'll say it's pedos. We'll cover our ass. And then the next day, they're out there saying it's pedos. The chuffing... the police don't think it's pedos. The people investigating find no trace of any abduction. They more towards the idea that it might be the McCanns themselves who did it. That's who they think did it. That's why McCanns have tried to ban the book. So the lead police investigation think they did it. So then they whip up all this media storm to try and smokescreen their crime so that people are pointing fingers in different directions, and the phone calls are coming into the police station. Oh, I've seen her in Portugal. Oh, I've seen her in Brazil. Oh, I've seen her on the fucking moon. Oh, we better investigate that then. It's a waste of everyone's time. Not only that, but the money started coming in. The fighting fund. And they thought, fucking hell. And a couple of days later, he sat Kate down and said, listen, Kate, Madeleine's dead. We know this. But, we believe in this weird Christianity shit we do. Not normal Christianity like the normal Christians, but a slightly adapted weird version. And I'm going to tell you something special, Kate. Madeleine's up there in heaven. She's looking down on us now. She loves you. In fact, she loves you so much, she's going to make you a millionaire. Kate, she's going to make you a millionaire. All you have to do is keep your fucking mouth shut. All right? And then these right-wing lawyers made them millionaires, didn't they? The fighting fund. Look, they're wearing the wristbands. Oh, £2 of which goes into their pocket. The lousy fuckers. So, you know, don't tell me I'm the bad person. Don't tell me I'm bad for discussing it on the internet. Like, don't tell me I'm wrong. I'm not wrong, because they're losing their libel cases. And the things I'm saying come out of the book that we're about to read, so I'm not making it up. Some of that stuff, my feelings about how they feel, their psychology of how they behaved, you know that I'm just making that up, yeah, because no one really knows how they behave. Well, you can see how they behave in interviews, you can see how they behave in public, and then you can infer the way they would behave. You know, immediately in this picture, it's quite obvious. He's walking towards the photographer and he's looking down the barrel of the camera with an angry expression. How dare you take photos of me? I'll walk towards you and I'll be aggressive. Kate, on the other hand, hiding her face in shame behind her child's head, looking down at the floor. Oh my God, they're taking photos of me. I'm ashamed. So you see this difference in their personality and their behaviour loads. And Jerry's aggression, you know, paints him out as guilty, doesn't it? And I imagine that's how he behaves with his wife. Slightly aggressive. So there we go. There's just something I inferred from a photograph, let alone a fucking video of the choffers, which is why you can't find loads of video these days. Their lawyers have had a good job done taking it all down off the internet, which is weird, because if you'd want to find your daughter, every press conference you did would be up on the internet 10 times over. Share, share, share. On day one, we held up her pyjamas and we were upset and we were out there with the papers and we looked bad, so the media lawyers got involved. And then all of a sudden that disappeared. Us looking bad disappeared. Can't find that anymore. It's fucking weird, isn't it? It's almost as if they're trying to control the narrative. Why would you want to do that? If you just wanted to find your daughter? Oh, because we're guilty and we're making loads of money out of our guilt. Oh, I see. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. A man with a child in his arms. There's a man with a child in his arms. Isn't it? Now, if it was abduction, check out yesterday's episode, the one before. If it was abduction, right, then you'd think the abductor would be smart enough not to just walk around the streets with a child in his arms. That's the sort of thing that would get you caught. If it wasn't, and she's dead, and they're disposing of her body, you'd think that you just put it in a bag or some shit. And that, again, you wouldn't walk around with a child in your arms. So these images of the man with the child, these ideas, they've all actually come from one place. Jane Tanner, one of their friends, was on holiday with them. Yeah, she's the one that's floated those ideas, but the police they're not down with that. We're gonna hear from the side of the investigator who was in charge of the police in Portugal. That's who we're gonna hear from here. So I think it's a good, even if you don't agree, even if you think these people are innocent, whatever you think, if you've not heard the side of the investigator that's in charge of the police, then maybe you're missing a part of the story. And it was in Portuguese, so it was hard to read. So thank God we've got a translation, and under fair use law, I can read it out on the internet and make comment. So hopefully this will, you know, enlighten some of us. May the 3rd, after 9:27 p.m, Dolphin Restaurant, Villa de Luz. During this walkthrough, he's going to jump about in time. Sometimes May the 3rd's the day she went missing. The Smiths from Ireland are spending their holiday, and I've got to do my best reading voice. You tell me in chat, you tell me in comments, is my reading voice okay? Do I need to speed up or slow down? You tell me what you think. I'll tell you what, they do tell me in chat. Tell you what, they tell me in comments. Look, where is it? Here's a comment on one of my other videos. Look at this. Oh, it's long. We'll have to do a whole video. I'll have to talk about that in a video. I will do, not this one. I won't tarnish this video with it. But they leave me long comments. And I don't give a shit. Like, who's got the time to read a long? If you're reading, I will say to you, if you're watching this, leave me a comment. I will read it. I won't reply unless, if I really want to reply, I'll talk about it on stream. That's my place that I can talk, isn't it? I don't need to type little comments. I've got a stream. And I would advise you, though, not to go too excessive in the comments. Anything over a little paragraph, you're fucking going a bit out. Like, not normal people in the rest of the world, the average normal rest of us, aren't writing more than a paragraph in a comment, because people don't really give a shit to read it. Like, your little opinion on the video is one thing, but me, I've got my opinion. I've made the fucking video. Go and make yourself a video, you chuffer. Like, leaving extensive. Like sometimes on other channels that I've got, they're extensive and well thought out, and I think actually that deserves a reply. You know, that deserves it when they're extensive and well thought out. If you're just going on a big rant and you've written more than 3 paragraphs, you must realise you're wasting your life commenting on YouTube videos. Anyway, and you haven't got a big life, you know, sometimes it gets cut short really soon by your parents. Anyway, look, we talked yesterday and the day before about the exact nature of the crime as well. This image here, the cadaver dogs, the finding of blood behind the sofa, the fact the sofa was pushed back, the fact the crime scene was tidied up, the fact that the bed was tidied up, the fact that the bedclothes were washed, the fact that all this shit points very firmly towards the McCanns, and that they left their child in the hotel room irresponsibly. They went back to check on her. She was either dead or dying, either through a process of their sedation, had a bad reaction, or she was jumping around on the sofa and she banged her head and had a seizure or something like that. Kate tried to revive her, did what she knows best, doctoring, bit of CPR. That caused Madeleine to cough up all this blood and stuff on the walls while you're being chest compressed. And it went up there, and then they know it's that because they had a dog in, a sniffer dog, a cadaver dog who signals in the presence of blood. So it signalled, they took the swabs, they sent them off, they came back, McCann DNA, mother or child, McCann DNA. And they can't prove it's blood because the sniffer dog says it's blood, the lab says it's DNA, but in court you can't say the sniffer dog says it's blood, so it's blood, or the lab says it's DNA, so it's blood. You have to say, look, the lab proves it's DNA, and that's all we can say in court now. We can't use the word blood, we can only use the word fluid, or body fluid, or, you know, DNA. And that's a bit of a loophole in the law, which means that we can't record it as being blood. But the dog said it was blood. That's why we took the swab, for Christ's sake. So we know it was blood. And it was all over this wall, underneath the window, all in spatter marks, consistent with somebody being laying on their back and coughing it up. And being as she's a little child, and the distance it was coughed, consistent with compression on the chest, consistent with CPR. So we expect, we guess, we infer that she was in there, in that hotel room, having some trouble. Someone checked on her, tried to do the CPR, it fucked it. They're in this situation, they've covered it up. That's why we think that, because we've got the evidence. The cadaver dogs also signalled in the car that they rented a few weeks later when they went to move her body, probably from the church crypt, or probably from hidden somewhere around there, to deep in the sea. And again, I'm doing my laughing. Rudy told me not to, yeah. She's dead in the sea. You know, I shouldn't find that funny. It's not funny, but the fact they did it and we've been putting money into their fighting fund ever since seems a bit weird to me. You know, I've always thought they were wrong-uns. The Smiths from Ireland are spending their holiday in Praia de Luz. After having dinner at the restaurant, they go to Kelly's Bar, 50 metres away. They leave there at around 9:55 to go back to their apartment in Estrella de Luz. Excuse me if I don't pronounce things exactly correctly, you know. West of the Ocean Club, 300 metres further on. They don't stay late because the next morning, one of them's got to go back to Ireland. It's a big family of 4 adults, 5 children. The father, aged 58, retired, and his wife, their 12-year-old daughter, their 2 grandchildren, aged 10 and 4, their mother stayed in Ireland, and their son, accompanied by his wife, who's pregnant, and their 2 children, aged 13 and 6. It sounds like a right rabble, doesn't it? They go in a northerly direction. The group's spreading out. The children are never far away from the adults. There's nobody about. They climb a few steps to reach 25th de Abril Street, cross it and turn left into Juan de Mayo Street that runs on the west side of the Ocean Club. They haven't gone 30 metres when they come across a man walking up the middle of the road. He's carrying a child in his arms, head resting on his left shoulder. So this is a second sighting of someone carrying a child. So this does start to give us more impression of what, maybe this is right. I would say as well, we looked at yesterday's Robert Murat fellow. And the idea was floated, sort of by the Portuguese detective, that he could be the one carrying the child towards his own house. It is possible, isn't it, that if Madeleine was dead, that someone could have been drafted in to help them hide the body. I don't know about all this shit, you see. The Smiths don't see the face of the little girl, whose arms hang by her sides. She's dressed in pale-coloured, maybe pink pyjamas. Her feet are bare, she's white, and she has blonde hair that covers her neck. The individual's appearance gives the impression he's not a tourist. He's wearing cream-coloured or beige trousers, classic in style, perhaps linen or cotton. He's a white man, aged around 30 to 35, with no other distinguishing features. He's between 1.7 and 1.8 metres tall, in visibly good physical condition. His brown hair is cut short, his face is tanned. At this time, images of Robert Murat, considered to be the main suspect, begin to be circulated all over the world. Excuse me, the calm and relaxing music is so loud that it's less calming and relaxing for me and more annoying. Hello, Michael Serge J. Helgeson. Please be a little more respectful. It's still yeah, we've had this comment before, you know, to be more respectful. To be honest, I'm just going to be what I am, because it's like several years later now. She'd be like 20 something now, wouldn't she? And I'm not the one who's made the most disrespectful comment. You know, you go and listen to Frankie Boyle, you'll hear some disrespect. I'm not actually being that disrespectful. Like, what's disrespectful is that they murdered her and buried her in the sea. So, like, that's disrespectful. What I'm doing is I'm digging over her case to highlight the truth of her plight. And actually, it's kind of respectful in a way, isn't it? To try and not let these people get away with it. There's some respect in that. We should respect the dead, though. That's true. We should respect the dead. At this time, and I've already accepted that I can be a bit flippant. I've already accepted it. I've already given my £40 to charity to, to balance that. Not to balance it out. We do it anyway, but. I'll be me, you be you. Murat's definitely the man. Okay, so they learn that according to Jane Tanner, after they return to Ireland, the Smiths continue to follow the case. They learn that, according to Jane Tanner's statements, Murat's definitely the man encountered on the night of the abduction. Mr. Smith then gets in touch with the Irish police to relate what he saw. He insists categorically the man they came across with the little girl was not Robert Murat. Now, this is weird because Jane Tanner gave a description of a man carrying a child. That was all that we'd ever heard of that. Then this family say they saw a man carrying a child, and I don't know who says it, whether it's just the adults or the kids or everyone or whatever. They say it, but Jane Tanner was given a chance to. She was given like not one of those lineups, police lineup, but the police walked up the road with Robert Murat and they didn't tell her who he was. And he was supposed to be anonymous amongst a group of plainclothes policemen. And she said, oh, that's him, that's the way he walks. Now, it is also possible that Robert Murat was known to the group because he's living up the road and he's a local expat and might have already been known to the group. They could have thought, oh, we'll put it on him. That's possible. It's possible he's the one taking the child. That's possible. Again, no indication of any abduction, but it's possible, I suppose. Really outside the realm of possibility because of the lack of any evidence to suggest it, but possible. We saw in yesterday's episode that he's got slight dodgy character traits, but strangely, it's Mr. Smith says that Robert Murat's not the man. He's sure of it because he knows him. With hindsight, he's utterly convinced the little girl was definitely Madeleine. So now we've got two different sightings of two different men carrying a child, both of whom are definitely Madeleine. Both of whom are both definitely Robert and not Robert Murat. And it's interesting the Smiths already know Robert Murat, isn't it? They're on holiday there, Robert Murat's not, but somehow they've become friendly. A bit like how Madeleine McCann's parents could have become friendly with him. We secretly organised for the Smiths to come to Portugal. On May the 26th, in the offices of the Department of Criminal Investigation, we interview the father and son. What they say seems credible. However, because of the dim street lighting, they say they would have a hard time formally recognising the man who was carrying the child. On the other hand, they describe very clearly how he was holding her and how he was walking. That scene is indelibly printed on their memory. We know that from other sources, witnesses are not that credible. Generally, witness statements are very, very useful, but not always that credible. People forget things, they remember things differently, they see something on the telly, they're sure they saw it. I don't know. Indelibly printed in their memory. After their interview, they went back to the scene, accompanied by investigators. They indicate the precise place where they came across the man. They're coming to Portugal, as well as their statements are kept secret. Within a few days, they go back to Ireland, but contact is maintained. They undertake to have any further details they remember. They undertake to let us have any further details they remember. We finally have credible witness statements about that stranger who on the night of May the 3rd was walking the streets of Villa de Luz with a child in his arms. So I'll say, okay, maybe there was. You know, maybe someone was walking the streets of Villa de Luz with short brown hair, child in his arms, maybe. Maybe if you were disposing of the dead body of your child, you would disguise yourself slightly. Maybe you'd draft someone else in to help. We're in this really shit situation and we need your help. Can you help? Someone they would trust, I suppose it would have to be, wouldn't it? Or maybe they're desperate. Remember, they've got this weird connection with the church as well, which is, I'm just going to get this up in a different window. Like Jerry McCann Church, if I just put that, like they're in this I just want something to state what kind of church they're in. It's not a normal church, you know, it's not a normal church. Anglican parish church, it's slightly different to a normal church, and they're quite heavily into this church thing. And they were there at the church in Praia de Luz as well. You know, it was a big part of their, after the disappearance of Madeleine, they were visiting this church, like they were given the keys to the church. They had a bit of a strange relationship with the church. So we've got that. That's in the book, though. That's in the book. You know, it's there as facts in the book. Number 9. Chapter 9. Madeleine McCann is 2.5 years old, and the twins just a few months when they go on holiday to Mallorca with their parents. 3 couples with their children go with them. David and Fiona Payne with their 1-year-old daughter. Fiona's pregnant with their second child. S and T with their 2 children, 1 and 3, and SG and KG who have 1.5-year-old daughters. So it's 3 couples, 3 sets of kids. They're all about 1 and 3. KG's also expecting a child. The trip was organised by David Payne. The latter rented a big villa, enough to accommodate all of them. SG got to know Madeleine's mother at university in Dundee between 87 and 92. KG met Jerry McCann for the first time at his wedding to Kate in 98. They become good friends. They see each other regularly and spend weekends together and phone each other often. After dinner on the 3rd or 4th evening in Mallorca, the friends are all settled on the patio. They're having a drink and chatting when KG witnesses a scene which flabbergasts her and makes her fear for the safety of her daughter and other children. She's sitting between Jerry McCann and David Payne when she hears the latter ask if she, probably Madeleine, did that, and he then puts a finger in his mouth and begins sucking it while pulling it in and out. The sexual connotation is obvious, while with the other hand he traces small circles around his nipple in an explicitly provocative way. Like, this is really weird shit, isn't it? This is really weird shit. You wouldn't expect anyone to be doing that, would you? It's weird. So because of this, KG, stupefied, regards Jerry and David. An uneasy silence settles around the table. They start chatting again as if nothing happened. She starts to distrust the way David Payne relates to the little ones. On another occasion, she sees David Payne making the same gestures while speaking about his own daughter. At this time, it's the fathers who give the children their baths, but KG no longer lets Payne near her daughter. After the holiday, KG will only meet the Paynes on one occasion, and she will not speak to them. Over the next 2 years, relations between KG, SG and the McCanns becomes distanced. They'll only see each other now at children's birthday parties. So this, like, clearly the suggestion here is that he's in some kind of paedophile and he's some kind of, you know, involvement in this whole thing. Personally, I find it weird. I don't know exactly, you know, I don't know who this woman is that's making these accusations. I don't know if she's credible. I don't know if she's heard things correctly. And I find it really fucking weird, because I'd say if you were a paedophile and you were discussing being a paedophile, probably public round the dinner table with people that weren't paedophiles who would find you fucking weird, probably the worst place to do it, isn't it? Because you're sort of publicly giving an account of your guilt. I mean, I find all that very strange. Very strange. I don't know what to make of it, really. The witness statement from the couple is taken by the English police on May the 16th. This is SG and KG. 13 days after Madeleine's disappearance. That information, very important for the progress of the investigation, was never sent to the Portuguese police. When the Portuguese investigators learn about similar events that took place during the holiday in Greece, without, however, obtaining reliable witness statements, they tell the English police, who at this point refrain from revealing what they know on the subject. We've already seen in this book that there was an instance where someone came up as a subject of investigation. It might be this guy, let's look at him. And it turned out not to be this guy. Proved categorically not. Innocent. Alibis. Definitely not them. No connection at all. 2-3 days later, English papers, the Portuguese police say to the English police, we've investigated this guy. He's not part of it. Nothing at all. 2 or 3 days later, English papers, who is this guy? Portuguese police investigate new suspect. All ends up in the papers in England. It's almost as if someone in the English police, someone on that side of things, because of course we've got lawyers and right-wing media people and whoever knows else involved from the right-wing media on the right-hand side of maybe they're involved. Anyway, someone there is leaking information from the investigation to the newspapers in the UK, and it's being printed, and they know it's clouding the investigation, they know it's colouring public opinion, and they know it's wrong. So that's happening. We already know that because it's said in this book and it happened. So he's just raising this again. I think what Goncalo Amaral is doing, the man that had his book banned, told he was slandering and libelling, that man, right? You missed the music, sorry. Okay, I'll turn the music up a little bit. I will. Fair enough. There you go. No stress. But this man, I mean, this isn't very relaxing, calming stuff, is it? So, you know, it just is what it is. This man is basically saying that you can tell the English police something, but they might not even reveal what they know. Like it's a little bit of back and forth, isn't it, between the two police forces? But I think it's very clear to understand what he's implying is that there's some sort of collusion between the English police and some other agent, whether they be a lawyer, whether they be a press person, whatever, to help shape the narrative in the English press. And they're doing that by leaking events from the case and also not being that tight on helping the case. It's a bit of a fuck up. Is this Snurgle Jurgle or something, a different name, Michael? Or is it, you know, is it you? I don't know. Serge Day Helgson, all in capitals as well. It's quite bold, isn't it, as a name? It will only be after my removal from the investigation in October 2007 that this statement will finally be sent to the Portuguese police. Why did the British police keep it secret for 6 months? It's all more surprising that David Payne, who had planned their trip to Mallorca, of whom it was known that his behaviour towards the children was, to say the least, questionable, is the same person who organised the holiday in Portugal. He's one of those closest to Madeleine. And that he's the first friend of the family to have been seen with Kate McCann just after the disappearance. Oh. Right, how about this? So I'm going to float some ideas. Idea 1. Madeleine is kidnapped. She's been kidnapped. Oh shit, what the fuck? I've gone in the room, she's gone. Someone did take her. I know there's a big handprint on the window. Obviously there wasn't. They did the forensics. The windows had not been opened. They did the forensics, but other than that, you know, let's suggest, someone's left a fucking photograph of themselves taking Madeleine. Let's say there's some big news that says that. Why David Payne first person to be involved with? Why him? Why was he seen with Kate just after the disappearance? Why him? Why go to the slightly dodgy, the most dodgy, out of all the people you're with, he's the fucking dodgiest. Not for, I think he might be dodgy, I think he might not, because he's proven to be dodgy. He's doing fucking weird dodgy shit, isn't he? Why him? Question 2. If you go in the room, she's dead on the floor, your wife's trying to revive her. Oh my god. Oh my god. What are we going to do, Jerry? We're going to lose our kids. Shit. There's only one person we can bring into this, actually, isn't it? It's David, because David's so fucking dodgy that if he spoke, I'd tell them all about his paedophile antics and then he'd be in the shit himself. David, we've got something on you, so now you can see this. You've got something on us. You don't tell, I won't tell. Deal? Later on, they gave him loads of money as well, didn't they? Did they? I don't know for a fact. I shouldn't say that if I don't know for a fact. McCann's pay David Payne. Did they pay him? There's an awful lot of this stuff, isn't it? There's an awful lot of this stuff. Did he receive some money from them, I thought? Did David Payne receive some money off the McCanns? McCanns give David Payne money. Is that right? There's an awful lot of here, isn't there? There's an awful lot. I might be wrong there. I shouldn't say it, I can't confirm it. But I was of the opinion that they gave him some, in the thousands, some money. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just paid him for the holiday that they were on together, you know, because he's organising it. So maybe that's legit. I won't go too deep. I'll try and stick it to the book, you see. I'm trying to stick to the book and not go off into... Everyone's got ideas. I've told you mine. There's this YouTube channel called Richard D. Hall who produces some really fucking weird videos, but also some interesting ones about Madeleine. So we're going to look at that. It might have been that's where I've got that idea from, but if it's not in this book, I'm not saying it as a fact on the internet, because this book, of course, is the one they tried to ban and they lost the challenge. So what's in this book is okay to say. So yeah, we've said, for me, it's a bit weird that he's involved, isn't it? It's a bit weird these statements don't go through. Why did the British police keep it a secret for all these months? It's more surprising David Payne planned the trip to Mallorca, of whom had known his behaviour was questionable, is the same person to organise the thing in Portugal. And I think this is where all the ideas that they're all in on it and they're all pedos come from. But obviously they're not, are they? Because this one woman said that she'd never talked to them again after that. She found it weird. So it's all a bit seedy, isn't it? It's all a bit... Without doubt, the Portuguese police could have made progress with the investigation thanks to that lead. Such behaviour would merit close attention. Were we looking in the right direction? Might we have established a link with the events of May the 3rd? It's difficult to seriously doubt these witnesses. So what he says is, on the day, you know, at the time, in the first week or so, they were being thrown this way and that, and a lot of it was coming from the McCanns. We were sure she was abducted. Jane Tanner saw Robert Murat with him. It's definitely Robert Murat. And then later people say, no, that's not Robert Murat. What are you on about? We saw someone as well, but not Robert Murat. No, we know Robert Murat. It wasn't him. Are they hiding Robert Murat? Are they helping Robert Murat? A whole family of Irish people? Or was it not? Have the McCanns been trying to cloud the... Well, the lead detective on the case seems to think the McCanns were trying to cloud the investigation. Because it's his contention that were he to receive the evidence early enough, he would look in a different direction, and that maybe he was looking in the wrong direction. It's interesting stuff, isn't it? Chapter 10, Rethinking the Facts. Ooh, rethink the facts. Certainly will do. Certainly will do. Here's a picture of them as well. Is it? What's this? No, Windows security, no thanks. Open image in a new tab. There you go, just that. There's a picture of the actual CCTV from the actual restaurant. So you can see they're around this little table here, aren't they? This is the group. So you're certainly close, cheek by jowl, if you're making funny comments about stuff as well, aren't you? You're certainly close together. You can certainly be heard. The ECHR stated it'd be chilling for the freedom of expression if he wouldn't have his say. European Court of Human Rights. Oh, you know what's going on a bit, Michael. Cool. Yeah. Tell me what you think in chat. Absolutely. I won't always cover it sometimes because if it's not in the book, again, I'm going to try and be avoiding libel or slander or anything. But what the European Court of Human Rights state is important, isn't it? It'd be chilling for the freedom of expression if he wouldn't have his say. Apart from the McCanns and Diane Webster, Fiona... Okay, so this is Rethinking the Facts. May 3rd, 2007, 5:30 p.m, 600 metres from the resort complex. Apart from the McCanns and Diane Webster, Fiona Payne's mother, the whole group of friends are having something to eat. The children are running and playing on the terrace. Others, so this is 5:30, this is in the afternoon, probably the last meal that Madeleine McCann ate before she was put in the hotel room and never seen again. The children are running and playing on the terrace. Others of Madeleine's age are coming and going between the restaurant and the beach. Everything is peaceful on this late afternoon. At 6:13 p.m, the men leave the table and go on foot to the resort. A quarter of an hour later, it's the turn of the women and children to go back. A few minutes go by. David Payne catches up with Madeleine's father, who is playing tennis, and asks where Kate is. Jerry replies she's gone back to the apartment with Madeleine and the twins. David goes there immediately. Now, it's interesting, isn't it, that Kate's tasked with the dealing of the putting the twins to bed. We know that the day before, Madeleine was screaming and crying and wouldn't be put to bed. That's been accounted. We read it in a previous chapter of this. So I find it, personally, just boorish and insensitive that he would be playing tennis during the difficult job. You got 3 kids. 3. 2 little twins, 1 Madeleine. They need to be put to bed. Someone's got to do the bath. I've been in a situation. I used to date somebody and she had a young daughter. I found the bath times incredibly, uncomfortable, because I was like, this isn't actually my daughter. I'm dating you, so I don't mind seeing you naked, but seeing her naked's a bit like with all this, especially you see all this pedo stuff in the newspapers and stuff. I remember my old fencing coach taught me a few things about not getting caught. One of them was don't do it if you. Don't put yourself in the situation, is what he meant. I don't mean don't do it if you don't want to get caught, but you're still a pedo. What I mean is, at the time it was all in the newspapers, and fencing coaches, teachers, all that, people might be pointing fingers. And he said to me, I'll never be, I think him and another teacher as well, an economics teacher. My economics teacher is the one that really stamped in my mind, because I had to go and see him at lunchtime because I was naughty. Naughty. You know me, being naughty. Right, you're in detention, come and see me at lunchtime. And I went in the room, and normally you go in, it's just the teacher and you. So I closed the door behind me, and he went, don't do that. I'm like, what? I'm in trouble for closing the door now, you dickhead. I was already in a bad mood, as I am a bit today. Meaning Amaral. Yeah, good point, Michael, yeah. The teacher said to me, Mr. Rennie, he said, open the door and prop it open with the chair, please. So I did, and I was like, it's cold. What the fuck are we doing this for? And I sat down and gave him my bollocking and all that. And when I went to leave, I went, do you want the fucking door open? I made a cheeky comment, do you still want the door open? As in, you idiot, having the door open, it's cold. And he said, listen, I'm not being stupid. People in this country get all sorts of problems. It's in the papers all the time. Paedophiles, this and that. He touched me. If I told you to open the door and prop it open, and you try and tell a court that I touched you, then what will happen? Is they'll believe me didn't touch you because I asked you to prop the fucking door open. Do you know what I mean? Not many paedophiles are insistent that they open the door and keep it open. And same with me bathing this daughter of my then partner. I was like, I don't really feel comfortable doing this. I'm not going to do it on my own. Obviously shouldn't suggest you take the door off and bath her, but I'm not going to put myself in those positions where any aspersions can be cast. So I would never leave myself in a situation where that would go down. I just was a bit careful to watch my own back there. If she's having a bath, you're in the room. If her nappy needs changing, I'll do it because I'm prepared to, muck in. But when it comes to the wipes, can you do the wipes or something? Can we put a buffer between anyone possibly ever accusing me of anything dodgy? At the time as well, I was a hairdresser. And I had lots of different girls coming in and out the salon as well. I had situations with that and Saturday girls and people working there. I don't want to be in the situations where people can point fingers, so I never would be. We've got loads of windows in the salon. I'm not locking the doors, keeping the doors open like we used to with the school thing. I learned these really interesting, your partner shouldn't expect you to bath. No, I don't think she did, Snips. I don't think she did. But the process of being with her meant that bath night happened, bath time and nights happened every night. So if I was there, it would be happening. And can you just come in, grab me that towel, or can you do this? And I was like, I don't feel comfortable in this situation. And she'd say, oh, don't be silly. She's naked, but she's a child, like a little child. So you don't have to, and I'd be like, yeah, but people, I didn't explain it in the way I'm explaining it now. I just made sure I was never in a difficult situation. Maybe it's because I feel, I'm like sometimes shy and a bit British about things. Certainly nudity. So I didn't dig it, I wasn't into it, and I know how you can make sure, because of my experience with fencing coaching, I was a qualified coach. I taught kids. I've got a CBR or a DBS check. The government I've had to do my forms and the police check to be a coach. So I know how serious this stuff is, and I will not have my future taken away from me because someone said, like, let's say we split up 2 weeks later and we have a big row, and I call her a bitch and she calls me a bastard, and we really hate each other now. And then she says to her friend, oh yeah, he used to fucking insist on bathing my daughter. Do you know what I mean? I'm not having any shit like that being said. You can't say it. I wouldn't do it. If anything, if any time this happened, I've got witnesses, proof. Do you know what I'm saying? I just cover my ass in that way. I think it's a sensible thing. And at the time, when I was being a fencing coach and the whole media was all about the pedos, the teachers around me taught me that because I was in charge of children. So they taught me not to put myself in difficult situations, because at the time, accusations were being thrown around of people. Not them in my school, but generally, you know what I mean? So my point here as well is, though, Jerry's actually her dad. So you don't have to worry about this shit. But what's happening is you're going back to the room, you're having to bath the 3 kids, they're messing about, the twins are crying, Madeleine's crying, won't be put in the room. Why the next day is Jerry like, yeah, fuck it, you do it, I'll just play tennis? That seems weird to me. It seems like Jerry's not a very good father, not a very good husband in that aspect, because he'd rather play tennis than involve himself in the difficult moments during the family, the chores in the family. But Jerry's playing tennis and Madeleine and the twins have gone to the apartment. David goes there immediately. What did he go there to do? How long did he stay there? How were the children? Did he see them? Did he play with them? At the moment, we're questioning whether David is a paedophile. From that moment on, the witness statements differ. According to Gerald, he stayed in the apartment for 30 minutes. According to Kate, on the other hand, no more than 30 seconds. This difference of opinion is important enough to be taken into consideration. Now, I would say Gerald doesn't know because he's playing tennis, so he's guessing. So I'd have to go on what Kate said, but they are inconsistent statements, and when you're taking witness statements surrounding a crime, inconsistencies point towards guilt. Let's say a little girl innocently says to a teacher, when Mr. Scott was watching me in the bath, and it's... yeah, exactly, that sort of shit. Yeah, exactly that sort of shit. I'm not saying I'd ever do anything wrong, obviously, but you know that it's possible that people might make funny assumptions or, I've explained it. You've given a really good example in chat there, exactly. So yeah, I was there to date her mother and not to become a new father to her daughter, although I would involve myself in the chores and the tasks because I was a good partner, but it's not my daughter, do you know what I mean? And when she got older, I could have been more of a father figure to her when we had a more clear set of boundaries, but at the time I didn't, I really enjoyed learning to read, and obviously I learned to read at a previous age, but I was able to help her learn to read, those sort of things, or getting your dinner and doing the big aeroplane and, watching the telly programs. Oh, is that your favourite program? All that shit I'd do, but the slightly more personal things, I'm saying, look, I'm a good partner, but I'll help hold the towel, I'll help warm the bath, you do the fucking washy bits. I'm not ever going to be involved in that. I made it clear. Importantly here, we don't know what's going on with David Payne. This difference of opinion is enough to be taken into consideration. It's not the only one. David Payne allegedly went into the McCann's apartment to find out if Madeleine's mother needed anything, if he could help her to take the children to the play area. Alright, so they're not quite going to bed yet then. He relates having seen Madeleine and the twins. The image apparently evoked for him one of 3 immaculate angels. Let's note that at 7 PM, the last person to see Maddie apart from her parents is David Payne. That is interesting. There's a whole other version of that late afternoon, that of Fiona Payne. According to her, Jerry was not playing tennis but was in the apartment with Kate and the children. Apparently she accompanied her husband when he went to the McCann's apartment. Who's telling the truth? So somebody's not accurate here. It might be a mistake. But between Fiona Payne, David Payne, Kate and Jerry, we've got contradicting stories. The photos taken on the terrace of the Paradiso prove that Fiona, her friends and the children left the restaurant 15 minutes after the men's departure. One of them, David. What do these easily discernible contradictions signify? Some people might say David was paedophiling the kids and the McCanns knew about it. Some people might say that. I'm not saying it, nor is the lead detective. We're keen to find information and evidence And we're keen to allow that to build a picture, of course. But what we're not going to do is jump to funny, weird conclusions because family friends visited a villa or because someone did something weird with the sucky finger. I mean, I find that distasteful and weird, and I wouldn't hang around with the guy. They obviously don't, I don't know. Did this woman get something confused? Was he talking about Madeleine or was he talking about Kate? I don't know. You know, I don't know what was going on. I wasn't there. We're trying to build a picture, but the picture certainly looks fucking weird for David Payne. I would say that. You know, I'm not going to trust him based on that, am I? I'm not going to be like, oh, he sounds normal, he sounds fine. May the 4th, 2007, 7 a.m, Sargakal, a village close to Villa de Luz. YM, an English woman, aged 52, a social worker with child protection services for more than 25 years, is spending her holiday in the Algarve. She's watching an English television channel when she hears the news about Madeleine's disappearance in Villa de Luz. She decides to go there immediately to support the parents. It's very, you're on holiday. This thing's on the news. You bang, you're over there, you're in. It's very nice of you, isn't it? Another idea might be that social workers, and this gets thrown around in the UK, is that social workers want their nose in. They want their nose in. She wants to know who's done it. She's got ideas. She wants to spot a pedo. She's in. You know, she's not requested, she's not required, she's not even involved, but she's in there sticking her nose in. That's what people think about social services. It's a double-edged sword. Of course, we've seen recently over the last few years, and this is something, Michael, that I will be very compassionate and kind and gentle about. It's more recent, and it was more not serious, more certain of what happened. But like, you know, we've recently seen in the news in the UK these horrific stories about these absolute tragedies, about these I don't even want to call them parents. Parents is the wrong word, isn't it? Parents is the wrong word. These people who were able to make a child but didn't have the common decent, are just disgusting people and abuse them. Like, we've seen them die recently, and we've seen these stories. So social services would have helped, or could have helped. Maybe they didn't help, and that was an oversight. But the idea they'd want to stick their nose in, you know, that's a good thing. You'd want them sticking their nose in these cases. So it's this double-edged sword with social services. People who are affected by it go, oh, I hate them sticking their nose in. Busybodies trying to stick their nose in, trying to take my kids. And other people might say, really important, they do stick their noses in, because whilst you might feel under pressure and under examination, if you're not doing anything wrong, they're there to help. And if you are, then they're there to help. So interesting that this social worker should travel on her holiday several miles to spend her time involving herself with Madeleine McCann's parents. Shortly after 9:30am, with the help of police officers on the spot, she manages to approach them. They're in the company of a man who's introduced to her as a friend of the family. I don't know who that is. Is it that's already because we know the Daily Mail sent like a lawyer, digging into it at a later point, but we know it, is that the Daily Mail, or, you know, those right-wing media companies got involved in giving them a media manager and a lawyer and helping them set up this fighting fund. Like, we know that, don't we? It's all sort of recorded and fact. So again, not libel or slander. Is that the man she met? You know, their PR man? Or is the man she met one of these people that they're on holiday with? I don't know. The McCanns are deeply upset, and Kate cries a lot. YM starts to ask them questions to find out the frequency of visits to the children during dinner. They respond the visits took place every hour, and asks, so that's different. Whoa, that's different. We've heard already it was every 15 minutes, it was every half an hour, and now it's every hour. And asks Gerald if he's the biological father, in order to immediately eliminate the hypothesis of parental abduction. Interesting. When the Portuguese police first started the case, as we saw in yesterday's episode, they wanted information from the British. They wanted to know if Madeleine could have been adopted, because they don't know. It's just, you know, they're told by these people, my daughter's missing. They want to know the facts from Great Britain, what's on record. Is Madeleine their biological daughter? Because these things make a difference in the case, don't they? Was he referring to her breastfeeding? I mean, he could be. He could be. That's a good point, isn't it? That's a good point. They're doctors. Maybe they're talking about biological things. I don't know. Certainly if you're a woman sat next to the chuffer, you'd think, oh, that's a bit weird. Another thing that really fucking annoys me, is that anyone who's willing to point the finger and say he was being weird at the dinner table, he was doing this with his sucking, if it was me at that dinner table, I'd have immediately caused a fuss. I'm the sort of, we had it yesterday with my family a little bit. I will say something the way I think it, not the way it means something. I did it to you earlier, Michael, didn't I? And I do it with this Madeleine thing. I'm accepting that this is maybe a personality flaw of mine, but some people prefer a bit of honesty. I don't care to dress it up. I don't care to soften the blow to your feelings. I'm a bit, some people say it's like autistic, and I'm not joking about autism. I have relatives who are autistic and it's, an issue, but some of the ways they behave gets paralleled in the way others behave, and we talk about it in that fashion. So some people say it's like an autistic trait of, not understanding people's feelings and instead just saying the bare facts. She's dead in the sea. Like, you should be more careful and more gentle about it. Maybe I should. If I was at the dinner table, I'd have said, what the fuck are you doing? Suck at the paedophile? Everyone would have kicked off. You can't call him a paedophile. No, I'd have caused rows. But I'd have got to the bottom of what the fuck they were saying. I wouldn't have let that go. I'm not sitting here with a load of pedos. I'd have said it. I'm aghast and amazed that whoever was reporting it didn't. Why wouldn't they contest it? It's so important, it's so big. Even before Madeleine gets disappeared, if you think you're sitting with a pedo, you're either complicit and you're involved because you don't ask the questions, or you ask the questions and you fucking get the answers. Do you know what I mean? Like, you do this in medicine too. You speak differently to each other than you do the families. I think it's maybe in agreement as well. I think it's maybe I do this with hairdressing, or I used to, and I literally would sit people down and tell them, look, I'm going to be rude to you today. We've got a big job on. When I need the colour washed off, I will ask you to wash the colour off. I won't say, oh, pretty please, could you wash the colour? And I'd love the way you do that round there with the scrubbing of the soap. So if you do that really nicely, that would be great. Like, I'm not going to try and suck up to you. I'm going to tell you the exact facts of what I need, and we're going to get the work done. And then at the end of it, and people used to say, well, you're being harsh to your juniors, aren't you? Oh, you're very hard working with your juniors, aren't you? And I'd just be like, look, we're here as tools to get your hair right. Like, I'm a tool, they're a tool. We're going to work as a machine. And when your hair is correct, then we can all have a drink and a laugh and say how good we are. But if your hair fucks up and I've been there going, if you feel like washing it, why don't you wash it in the way you wash it? No, I want you to wash it with this shampoo for this amount of time. I want you to scrub here. I want you to not scrub there where it's delicate. I need to speak fact. And I don't have any other language confusing the facts. It's, you're the same with your orientees. And we're not at work to be nice to each other. I mean, we are these days, aren't we? We are to take into feelings and all that. But, because I was a male in a female-dominated workplace as well, it was done to me a lot on the way up. So maybe I just learned it. They would treat me like a tool, like a slave. Get this, do this. Not please may I have, can I? I still said please may I have. And, I've still got my manners. But get this, do this, sweep that. Like, no concern for your feelings because you're at work and we're not here to pander to feelings. But this is different. But it's just another example of where I cannot understand the thinking of the people that are there. But they want to know if Gerald's the biological father to immediately eliminate the hypothesis of parental abduction. Makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense. Little by little, Kate starts to get annoyed. So we're talking about a social worker has come to ask them questions. She's not involved in the case. She's not involved in anything, really. She's just from England and she's a social worker. Again, this double-edged sword. If I was looking for my daughter, she was lost, I'd say, who are you? Are you from England? Oh, good. That makes me feel more comfortable because I'm in Portugal, a foreign land. You work for the social workers. Brilliant. Brilliant. Someone said this guy was a pedo. He was doing this licky thing. Get on him. Someone said they were carrying a child. Do you know anything about that? Get on it. Can we use you in any way? What resource can you give us to help find my daughter? You're from England. You're in social work. Brilliant. I'm on you. You're in my team. That's what I'd say. All that stuff about, poking their nose in. Blaming the parents. Take your kids off you. Like, that would only worry me if I was at fault. And I do see the possibility of, you might think I've done something wrong, so you might try and steal my kids. My daughter's died. I don't want to lose my other kids. I don't want social workers poking their nose in. You might have to accept they will when you get back to England because you're fucking in this situation, but some randomer on holiday, no, it's not your business, keep the fuck out. Either or. Now, I can say that if you did not kill your daughter, you might still feel defensive. I can say that. If that were the case, I'm not having you ask me questions. How dare you point her out to us? Like, you know, whoever put her through to me, who's sending this woman into our close circle? Get her out. Get her out. What's she doing here? One or the other. What I'm not going to do is start by having the questions, get halfway through and then change my mind. That's not going to happen. I'm going to be quite focused on what I believe and I'm going to want to get on. Again, it might just be me, but hello Rudy, late for class, doesn't matter. It's always here recorded on the internet. What I believe I would do is I'd have one opinion and I wouldn't have time really to be thinking about the motivations of somebody else, you know, this social worker. I'd decide quite quickly what I thought, she's in or she's out, and then I'd get on with the shit I need to be getting on with, because I'd feel really fucking stressed and busy because I'd be looking for my daughter. So with that all said, I find it strange that they have this in, out, shake it all about approach to people. It would almost be as if she's in, they pump her for information, they get they're feeling her out, and then they fuck her off. It's almost as if that, which is, again, like, to me, strange. Why do they always take my bloody tissues out of this room? Excuse me 1 second, I need to just get my tissues and blow my nose. It's like I'm not allowed a bloody toilet roll in this room. What do they think I'm doing? Jaffing out over the computer. If you look on my internet search history, there's no pornography. I'd rather not. You know, I bought this big lovely computer for streaming. I'd rather not clutter it up with all pornography and dodgy websites and shit. You know, I just use it for streaming. I don't need to, you know, this is not my wanking room. It's a downstairs front room officey sort of room that my nan used to use as a bedroom. I don't feel like having a Tommy Tank in my nan's bedroom, thanks. I'm not allowed, for some reason, whoever tidies up round here, like, you know, people see in this room, somebody's always taking the fucking toilet roll. I don't know why. Nothing else gets removed. Someone's moved a box. My sister, just a little time-out tangent, is that my mum's boyfriend's moved, like my stepdad, my mum's boyfriend, he's moved in sort of today. My sister's going to be here again today, sorting out another room for her bedroom. We're getting quite busy in the old house again, through sales of houses, through house redevelopments, all sorts of things, getting quite busy. Got the upstairs room now, B-side channel for streaming, so when it gets busy, I can pop up there, battery exhausted channel, and I can stream away. It might be less polished than this stream. I don't have the lights and the 4K camera and the capture card up there, just got a cheap webcam and a laptop, but we're going to improve it step by step. Going to tidy up that room. That's so I can escape and I can go up there and keep out of the way. So that happens on the B-side channel, might happen more and more increasingly, but that's why people are in and out of this room, and why I'm going to eventually say this room can be adapted into my sister's workspace as well, and whatever you want me to move, I'll move. I'll take anything upstairs that needs to go. So that it's not normal for people to go into your rooms and take your toilet rolls, is it? But British toilet tissue so rough on the bum, as I recall. I wouldn't know the difference, would I? I've only ever used the one. I've never used American toilet roll, so I wouldn't know the difference. But if it is, then I'll stick with my rough stuff. Thank you. It's what made us British. It's what helped us win the war. Right. Little by little, Kate starts to get annoyed with the social worker. She thinks it's up to the police to ask these questions. Remember, Kate wouldn't go for the interview because she felt too upset. They had to interview everyone else first. She was too... I can understand. Your daughter's missing. You're upset. But the first person you'd want to talk to is the police. Interview me. Ask me anything. Ask me everything. If anything can help, I'll you know, I don't know. It might be deep in my brain. I don't know the questions. I'm just the parent. You know the questions. Ask away. If my daughter was missing, I would answer any question from anyone, because any little piece of information, you don't know where it could be, that piece of information is the key. You don't know. So ask me anything. I'll try and tell you anything. I'd like to be out there searching. That's my main one. I would be out there. This is what they didn't do as well. I didn't see them driving around and looking. I'd be out there searching. I wouldn't be able to, oh, don't do that. We've got the police doing that. You're better off staying at the centre in case she comes back. Or don't do that. We've got police out doing that. You're better off, like, you know, talking to the policeman to get more details. I'd say, yeah, that's good and all, but I can't help it. Like, when my dog's missing, I have to go out looking. I can't just sit at home and wait and say, you know, it's better that I'm here in case they come back. Theoretically, whatever, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Snips Izal, anyone remember? We used to have a toilet tissue. I'll quickly take this in case it's that. We used to have a toilet tissue in the UK, which was made of tracing paper or something. It was very rough. And, oh no, I don't know what this is. Okay. Oh, a disinfectant. Right, okay, a disinfectant. We used to... I'm just going to see if I can quickly find this for us. Well, we were on a slight tangent, and we're not going to stay on the tangent. We're going to stick to the book, but it was like tracing paper. Tracing paper, toilet. And it wasn't in a roll, it was in, like, sheets. And... oh, you are talking about Izal. Yes. Yes. We used to have this in my school, in my primary school, and it was fucking horrible. I mean, I wouldn't use the toilet for number twos at school, not just because of this, but I wouldn't. You couldn't use it to blow your nose. You couldn't use it. It was like the opposite of absorbent, whatever that is. It was what? It was like brown paper with grease-proof paper. It was like grease-proof paper, tracing paper, thin grease-proof paper. Like, what the fuck? Was that? Who's like, and like, you think product testing, like, you think you'd realise, wouldn't you, if you were producing that stuff? You think you'd realise, like, you think you'd even just be able to rub it on your face cheeks. Anyway, little detour there, but yes, agree. So Kate starts to get annoyed. Why is she annoyed at this woman asking her questions? It would be annoying. You might be worried you're going to lose your kids. She might think it's up to the police to ask these questions, not a stranger. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe this woman's being a right bitch, sticking her nose in, asking questions that she has no right asking. And who's this woman to ask these questions? What's she going to do with the information? This is where I said at the start, she'd be right outside, or either I'm like, yes, get her in, I'll ask her the questions, ask me anything. Or, who the fuck are you? Leave it to us, back off. Right, nosy bitch. One or the other, but I wouldn't invite her in and then change my mind, and then when she starts asking questions that are going somewhere, I'd start to clam up. Besides, there should be more of them looking for her daughter. She insists it was a couple who abducted her. YM assumes the McCanns distrust her, so she shows them the official documents issued by the police and the English government certifying her professional qualifications. I don't care, again, I don't care if you're official, like, you know, in England. In Europe, I don't care if you're a social worker in Europe, you're not a police investigator trying to find my child, you're a nosy busybody, so fuck off. Like, that might be the attitude. The friend of the family examines the papers and confirms their authenticity. In spite of this, Madeleine's parents don't seem to be very appreciative of the offer of collaboration. They might not be. You know, they might not be. YM tries to take Kate aside to speak to her quietly and ask her for more information about this couple who had allegedly abducted her child. So now Kate has said to this woman it was a couple. Is Kate trying to grass up the real people? Does Kate know something that we don't? Or is she trying to smokescreen and deflect? But she refuses. She reacts aggressively and refuses to be separated from her two companions. So Kate won't be separated from, is it Jerry and I don't know exactly who it was, but it's almost as if she doesn't want to be on her own with this woman. She worries about the extreme state of agitation that Kate's in and notices the latter has not been examined by a doctor when she really needs to be. And I believe the suggestion here is that Kate's being pushed around by other people. And that's why I'd come to this conclusion that Jerry's come up with the big story, Kate's gone along with it. We'll see it later in the embedded confessions. During this encounter, Kate tells YM that her daughter disappeared 13 hours ago. If you do the calculation, that means Madeleine would have disappeared at 9 and not 10. Now, this is one of those little things. It could just be a mistake. She could have just got it wrong. But you're dealing with actual facts on the ground within hours, so you'd think you'd be more accurate. The idea she disappeared at 9 and not 10, that contradiction's important. It has to be taken into account in analysing the abduction scenarios the McCanns and their friends will relate to the police. Because one scenario, they turn up, she's gone, they contact the police immediately. Another scenario, 9 PM they turn up, whatever happens for an hour, then they call the police. You're still talking about toilet roll in chat. It's immortalised forever, bear in mind, on the episode. So talk about what you want. It'll be immortalised forever. And I have it on the screen here in opaque, but I also, where you can see through it. But it's also at the side recorded by YouTube as well these days, isn't it? So you talk about what you want. The couple's spokesman, the friend who's been present throughout the encounter, ends up telling YM the McCanns want her to leave. Before leaving the scene, she advises them not to trust the media and remain silent. Good idea. That's one of the best pieces of advice they've had. Anything you say may be taken down in evidence against you. No, I mean, talking to the media, as much as you want to find your daughter, might not help because the media don't have your back. The media want to use you like they use anybody else for simple reasons. Sell papers, make money. And the way they do that is by controlling the narrative. And they're in day 2 controlling the narrative, aren't they? So she tells them not to trust the media. That's the advice of the social worker. YM has the feeling that she's already met this man. His face seems familiar to her. She's talking about the man that is the couple's spokesman. Already they've got a spokesman. Was he perhaps mixed up in one way or another in the case she dealt with in the context of her work? She'll later learn that's David Payne, organiser of the trips, the same person whose sleazy attitude was reported. There's nothing incriminating in his past, and, as we're able to verify, he's got no criminal record. What we're sure of is he's been a close friend of Madeleine's father since university. So again, we go back to this trust issue. A close friend since uni, you're out there, things are fucking it. You'd have to lean on your close friends, wouldn't you? You'd have to go with, like, all these different people coming around. You'd have to trust your close friends. If you were trying to hide something, cover something up, it might be your close friends are prepared to do that for you. Now I'm saying, like, imagine you turn up, you've cleared the chat. Imagine you've turned up, you've cleared the chat screen. Well, imagine you've turned up to a crime scene. It's your friend's daughter. It's fucking horrific. Like, she's dead. Imagine that. What your first thought is, oh my God, that's awful and sad. I'm sad. And then your next thought is, oh my God, my friend is going to be really sad. I'm sad for them and with them. Let me put my arm around you. Let me help you. Like, that's got to be the case, hasn't it? If the next thought is they're going to lose their kids, Kate's screaming about losing the kids. She doesn't want to lose the kids. Jerry's saying, look, there's nothing we can do now. She's dead. I don't want the police involved. They're going to steal our kids off us. They're going to put me in prison for it, if anything. Like, Kate's got blood on her hands doing the CPR. They'll think she murdered her. You're a doctor. You understand this. When we returned, we'd give her these sedatives. You know that it can have a negative... I don't know. It was David Payne a doctor? I can't remember. Was David Payne a doctor? Formerly of Leicester Infirmary, working at the hospital in Kettering. Yeah, he was. Wasn't he? Hospital doctor. Yeah, hospital doctor. We've got the McCann police files to confirm it. So, you're a doctor, you know the score. Like, XYZ has happened. We've tried XYZ. If the police get involved, can you help? Please, we've been together since university. Do you remember that time at university when you did this and I never grassed you up? Do you remember that time in the morgue with the kid? Anyway, look. So you can understand, you can paint a picture, a reasonable picture of this conversation going through and it taking an hour and David Payne being involved in the clear up, can't you? Not out of money or menaces or being a horrible pedo, but simply out of the fact that it's his mate since university. Whatever has gone on, they're tight already. That's why they're on holiday together. I'm not the sort of person that would be friendly with a David Payne. so I don't really know how that goes. I don't find Madeleine McCann's father to be that personable, so I don't know how that goes. I actually will admit, right? I'll admit, because we're going to watch them in action in interviews after we've done the book. But I will admit, sometimes I meet a person, like a human person, and everything I preach on the internet goes aside, and I think, I don't like the look of you, you chuffer. Something about you gives me the edge. Something about you I don't really like. It might be some. There was a fella that used to be friend of the family, who used to be a bit touchy-feely, and I just say, like, just take your hand off my shoulder. I don't like it. I'm not being rude. I'm going to be cold to you though, because I don't fucking like you. I'm not going to hang out near you. No, he wasn't a pedo or anything. I just, I don't like that sort of level of like stranger compassion. Take your hand off me. Sometimes I meet people and just their face. It might just be their face. I'm going to be honest. When it happens, I try and put it aside and say, I'm being a bit prejudiced here. I don't like this face. It's not race. It's not gender. It's none of that. It's some kind of attitude that comes through, an expression in the face. And I think now, deep down, when I'm a grown up now, I think what it is I'm actually quite a good personality reader. In some ways, I think I see through what people say into their hearts sometimes, I believe. I hope so anyway, otherwise I'm wrong, aren't I? But I feel I get these vibes off people. Initial instinct, surprise how often they can be accurate, says Rudy. Maybe we all have this. Maybe we all have this. This chap, it's only since his daughter's missing that he's been on the telly and that, so he's got that stress on top of him. But I don't like him. I don't like it. I don't like his manner. I wouldn't, in a group of people, say, "Oh, hi, my name's Scott, nice to meet you. And you're a doctor, are you? Oh, really? Oh, maybe we should exchange phone numbers and go and play squash." No thanks. And if he said it to me, I'd go, yeah, I'm actually busy on that day and I've broken my squash racket, thanks. And I just avoid the shit. I get vibes off people, I avoid them. Quite often it's, in my area where I've grown up, we're not in horrible poverty in the main. There are people that suffer through poverty right around the corner from me. Obviously, like everyone in this country these days, thanks to the fucking government. Anyway, look, but I've met people in different social circumstances that are in the same social group. They're well off. They don't need to steal. They're thieves. They're thieves. I got the vibe. I turned out to be right. Others that, I don't know, we just don't gel. We don't, like, we should. We're both into the same music. We're both, oh, you're a DJ as well, are you? Oh, you like that as well, do you? Like, should be best friends. Just not. Just can't do it. Can't have them. Don't like them. I'm going to be honest about that because I'm open about things, and I'm always going on about how in humanity, in society, we give each other the benefit of the doubt, arms around each other, helping people. When it comes to things like that, I will chip in, even for the people I don't particularly get a good vibe with. I'm thinking of a couple of people around my way that are like my enemies. We're not enemies, but this one lad, I'll tell you a funny story, actually. It's not funny. You're not supposed to be funny during Madeleine McCann. Good. Right, so I rung him up and I said I need to buy some of my funny cigarettes. He was the lad that sold the funny cigarettes. The funny cigarettes. So I went up to his house. I need to buy my funny cigarettes. This is like way back. This is like, early mobile phone days. And he's like, all right, then I turn up. And he's like, oh, you can't come in now because my parents are here. And I'm like, yeah, but like I've driven all the way. I've driven 15 minutes, 10 miles up the road to your house to come and get the funny cigarettes. Just fucking come out. And he's like, no, I can't come out. My parents are here. And I'm like, well, what are you? Like, what's going on? Okay, if that's the way it's going to go, I'll just come up and put the money through the door for the cigarettes, and you are in that bedroom up there. Just throw the fucking cigarettes out the window. No, I can't do that. My parents will see. And I'm like, for fuck's sake. Like, I've come all the way here, and you're being a dick. Like, stop being, oh, you called me a dick now. Now I'm not going to sell you any funny cigarettes. I wouldn't have minded if you hadn't, been a dick about it and had me drive all the way over there. Anyway, that kid and me, never friends. Never friends. Other people in the same social group, friends with him. Me, he's a dick. That was how I knew he was a dick. But before then, I had the feeling I got the egg. I think he probably had it about me. Maybe that's why he didn't come out of his house. Bloody hell, some heavy stuff in chat there. I'm sure you hate it when you call them out to Eminem says to Snips, yeah. But yeah, so your instincts are correct, maybe, we're going to say. It's confirmed in chat. And I get that instinct about him. I don't like him. So he's a great example of it. Why is it related to this? Because David Payne and Madeleine's father have been friends since university. And they're both people I get that vibe from. And I do often wonder to myself about people who are shits. About people who are... That's not him. Madeleine McCann. You know, I do wonder... My sister's ex-boyfriend is another great example, because he doesn't have loads of friends, but he does have a group of friends, like a social group of friends. And I've hung around in the group and I thought, you're all twats. And lo and behold, he was a twat, you know. So, like, who's going to be friends with people who you get bad vibes from? And maybe the people that are also in that ballpark. Like, look at her face, and I don't know, is it just me, or is it the twats hanging around together? Like, is it just me, or honest people group up because we're honest and we got each other's backs, and when someone does something against us, we're like, fuck you, you're out of the circle now. You know, I'm not going to trust you ever again. And is it that if I've got something on you and you've got something on me, and when we're at university, we both robbed that fucking place, or we both went in that morgue and fiddled with the bodies, we're in it together now, so you're not going to grass me because I'm not going to grass you. And then when it comes to doing other bad things, we're in it together because we know that you can't grass me. Is it that? Arrogance is reeking off the whole shower of them. Yeah, arrogance, that's a good point. Arrogance, it feels like that, doesn't it? This face here that we're looking at here, and this was my introduction to body language analysis. This is where I first started looking into body language analysis. Became, I won't say an expert at it, but I haven't got a degree or anything, although I did study social psychology at university. I do and have studied lots and lots of this since then, and do have knowledge. And like that face there is condescension and aggression, right? And again, it's toward the photographers. You can understand when people are photographing you in relation to Madeleine McCann. Oh, these fucking dirty press. These dirty press photographing me all the time, feeding off it, you might think. Or you might realise that they're there because the parents are involved in the press. So they're like part of your team. And like you're not being sneery and condescending just because a photograph's taken. You're at the person who's taking the photograph. I'm better than you. You're a photographer. I'm not. I'm better than you. And this sneering condescension... surrounding the looking for the child, you know, it doesn't seem fitting at the right times, does it? But she's certainly got it on her face, hasn't she? Yeah, so I find that all to be very strange, because David Payne's a very good friend of Jerry. They're good friends since university. It's all getting really weird, isn't it? It's all now starting to get dark and weird. So number 11, analysis of the crime scene. This is where it gets really dark and a bit, well, not weird, but clearer, I suppose. Some folks see themselves as above all this. Thin-lipped countenance, above responsibility, yeah. Analysis of a crime scene. So this is the crime scene. Sadly, these days, strangely, with all the media involvement, we don't have loads and loads of really good quality information and video, and we've got the dogs, the cadaver dogs, we've got their videos, but the McCanns themselves, the people from the media that were involved, you know, you'd think if you were trying to find these kids, you'd have so many more clear, crisp images of everything, but it's almost like they're trying to hide them. It's 10 a.m. After dealing with everyday matters, I joined the team of investigators responsible for the Madeleine case. The Leicestershire police are present at these meetings, as well as Jose Freitas. The latter, aged 46, is descended from Portuguese people who settled in Madeira and emigrated to the UK to find work and a better standard of living. Violent crime, abduction and illegal confinement are the speciality of this high-ranking Scotland Yard officer who joined us 18 days into the investigation. Again, it's this weird thing of the McCanns have appealed to the British, not the police initially, but they appealed to a lawyer and a media manager. They got them involved, as I keep saying. And then the police were contacted by the Portuguese police. The British police were brought in by the Portuguese police. It took them some time. And then 18 days into the investigation, boom, we're in big now. The English authorities consider that the presence of a man who knows Portugal and its culture could facilitate the investigation. That's a joke, isn't it? The English believe that someone who understands Portuguese culture could help the investigation. Well, this book's being written by the Portuguese lead detective, so, maybe he understands a bit of Portuguese culture. He speaks our language with a British accent. Until he left at the time of the McCann's return to England, he never managed to say imprensa, which he always pronounced oppressor. Irrelevant. I think he's trying to point out that he's not that Portuguese after all. He's a bit more British. It's a bit of a weird thing to put in the book there. He's not an author, he's a policeman. We take stock of the different operations set up, and then we examine the photos taken on the night of May the 3rd. The apartment is made up of 2 bedrooms, a lounge, a kitchen and a bathroom. What's immediately apparent is the order that prevails in the bedroom where Madeleine and the twins were supposed to have slept. Now, I had yesterday the, let's put it this up, Madeleine McCann apartment. Let's just put apartment. Yesterday we had the map of the actual, so we'll get that open again, area. That's the map of the area. Their apartment's this one on the corner. The front of the hotel is this road just behind me. That's the front of the hotel. When you arrive at the hotel, you see the big face of the hotel. It's all little apartments, and you walk through, and you get your keys and all that, and you get your apartment, and all this stuff out the back, the tennis courts. Not these things here, not these, because you see there's a car park and a wall in between it. But these tennis courts, this pool here, that's your hotel club. This little street here, this little road, this little path separates that from your apartments. This is the front, and this is the back. And this is the bar where they're having their dinner, and they can't see these apartments. They say they can, but there's a lookout this way, and there's a tarpaulin, they can't see it. So that's the bar that they're in. That's their apartments up there. I want to see inside the apartments as well, because now we're talking about the inside. And there are lots of photographs and evidences on the internet. So we're going to try and get, that's probably a decent one, isn't it? You can see when you come in from this perspective that we're coming in from the back. That's the back view. You're coming in from the back. There's some sliding doors here. Off shot. The bedrooms are through these doors. That A door is the front door. That is, I think it's around this side, isn't it? I might be wrong, because I've not been there. There's the kitchen. This is the little table. This is the sofa. That's the window. I think we're getting some sort of impression. It's a little apartment anyway, isn't it? Got the bedroom. Oh yeah, that's a really good image of what I was describing. Look, that's all the blood spattered behind that window, and that's what they think caused it. I'm not going to be able to find. I wanted a floor plan, really. Maybe I will find it. Hang on. Could have gone a bit more. This is me. I could have been a bit more organised beforehand. Oh yeah, you can find it easily. Great. So that's what I wanted. So you've got an idea of what I'm talking about. You can pause this and have a look at it again. It's there now. This is not under. This is from the right-wing media, from that media that keep the story floating around. But it's not in contention. These are the facts. There are the sliding doors. You come in through those sliding doors. That front door, door to patio, not being used often, has a key. Sliding doors, left open, aren't they? Hang on, am I tripping? Pretty sure they're the sliding doors there that are left open, unlocked. This is where the sofa and the blood was found. That's the little kitchen. This is the bed that she slept in. And that's the window that they think, or suggest she was taken from, that was locked and shuttered and didn't have any fingerprints on it. And they found the police investigators' fingerprints on it, proving that fingerprints could be left and were not left by anyone else, because inadvertently they left their own palm print on it. That was a mistake they made, but it proves that palm prints could be lifted, and they found one and it was their own. Yeah. And also, isn't this weird, right? If you're a pedo, and you through that window to steal a child, then aren't you taking one of the easier to carry smaller children that are closer to you? That's weird, isn't it? Yeah, so that's the lay of the land anyway. And we're saying that whoever visited to see if the kids were asleep came in through these back doors here, and they looked at this door, and someone said that it was closed, and others say it was open, and others say that there was curtains open and blowing in the wind here. Doesn't Kate say that? It's all interesting. That's the apartment, right? The apartment's made up of 2 bedrooms, a lounge, a kitchen and a bathroom. What I might do is just give myself a new window and see if you can... I'll bin that off. You can have a look at the picture of the apartment while I read out the description, yeah? The apartment's made up of 2 bedrooms, a lounge, a kitchen and a bathroom. What's immediately apparent is the order that prevails in the bedroom where Madeleine and the twins were supposed to have slept. There's nothing to indicate any abductor had passed through the window. How high is the window ledge? 91 centimetres. There's a bed against the wall under the window where it looks like someone had slept. At the foot of the bed, against the same wall, there's a wicker armchair. No shoe prints found. What distance between the bed and the window ledge? 40 centimetres. But no footprints on the bed either. Okay, so either that window plays no role, or we have a case of 2 people, one inside and one outside, because they're saying that it's very difficult to get in and out that window past this bed. There's a chair in this room as well, which is not indicated. Again, this is the right-wing media. Maybe I'm wrong to say this is a good example of the apartment, because they're missing vital pieces of information here on the right-wing media. This picture's from the Sun. So why are they missing and incorrectly displaying vital pieces of information? Why that? When you look at... I'll put it back so we can look at it again. When you look at this, there's actually an artist's impression here, drawing, look, and you can see how much closer together. In the corner there, it's very small. It's harder to see, but in the corner on the right-hand side there, by the window, there is a chair. They've not put that in the Sun. They've missed it out. No shoe prints were found on it. So if someone's gone in that window to get a child, they've got to climb in through the window. You'd think they'd put their foot on the chair because it's there as like a helpful or some way. And how are you going to climb in and out that window with the child in your out the window with the child in your arms? It doesn't make sense, does it? What distance between the bed and the window ledge? 40 centimetres, but no footprints on the bed either. So either that window plays no role, or we've got 2 people, one inside and one outside. Looking more closely, the room's not as tidy as it looks. The bedroom window is protected by a shutter that only opens from the inside. A blackout curtain that keeps out light comes down to the window ledge. At the sides, just brushing the floor, are 2 other curtains with tie backs. They're drawn towards the centre of the window, but not completely closed. That's this picture. I'm assuming these are pictures made by the police at the time, because they're in the policeman's book. But I don't know, I've got no way of verifying. Uh-oh, that's out of batteries now. Oh no. Buy an electric lighter and it runs out of batteries and then you're in the chuff, aren't you? I am in the chuff now. Oh, bad chuffers. Bad chuffers. I've got a solution, which is to charge the bugger up. Modern world these days. I'm trying the electric lighter. I really would like to find a lighter that doesn't end up in the sea as a bit of plastic shit that kills a seagull. So this is currently the idea. But of course, if you're buying an electric lighter on Amazon, you're buying a cheap bit of shit from China that will probably break quicker than a normal lighter, won't it? So trying it anyway. Police impression here. The neurotic part of me can't understand leaving a young child alone like this. We had this comment in the other episode, not yesterday, sorry, the day before. I had to miss yesterday because of a family birthday, but I actually think, although it was a bit more recent, the Madeleine case, I actually think it's not so strange. Certainly from the UK, it might be because I grew up in a single parent family, but when we went on holidays, the idea would be that you'd have like a kids club to keep the kids occupied in the day, and the parents would do something else. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't be watching your kids. Someone else is responsible for that. Kids club. And then at night time at 8 o'clock, the kids need to go to bed, but you don't want to go to sit in the room on your own just watching the telly while the kids are sleeping. So you leave the kids and you go to the bar. Usually it's in this, like, you're in one big building. A bit like how your kids are asleep upstairs and you're in the kitchen downstairs. You know, you're not going to sit in their bedroom. You're in the big building. You go down to the bar, you lock the door, the kids are asleep, you know, you're not to come out the hotel room at the end. That did used to go on in my experience. I'll say that. I'm not going to point the finger at anyone and say anything. I didn't like it because I was a kid and I wanted to be there with my parents, but I also understood that, you know, adult time at the bar was not my time, and I would be put to bed. So it happened to me. A lot of people say how irresponsible it is. Maybe my parents were just irresponsible, but it definitely happened to me. And I remember actually being on a skiing holiday, like I said the other day about my dad doing it, and other kids in the same boat. You know, we were put to bed. You're in the kids' club, you're doing the skiing in the kids' club, and then you're put to bed at a certain time. Like, my parents would be in the hotel, my dad would be in the hotel with his girlfriend, but they wouldn't sit and watch us in the evening. It just simply wasn't the case. So I don't see that as an awful thing. Although, if that were to be the case, I wouldn't choose, or they wouldn't choose, a situation like this where there was such a distance they couldn't be seen. It was almost like they're in another building. You know, they wouldn't choose a situation like this. They'd have gone for a more like family hotel that's got kids clubs and creches. Do you know what I mean? They'd have chosen the location based on the idea that they're going to be leaving me in the hotel room, maybe. You were a free range child. Little kids themselves get into trouble even if it's not creepy. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's not totally responsible, but I will just say about the realities of parenting, which is that parents need their own time at the evenings and the kids are in bed. And if you're on holiday, I would not expect all parents to be sat in the rooms with the kids. I just wouldn't. That's just how I'm living. That's how I've seen it. When I'm a parent, after all this Madeleine stuff, obviously I wouldn't necessarily do the same thing. I'd want to, like, if I'm going to do, I'd like my children to be part of what I'm doing, but I don't know, maybe they're in there playing the Game Boy and, you know, locked in the room. Maybe that's an option. So we've got this inconsistency here now. We're talking about the ins and outs of the room. I'm going to try and stick to it a bit. The room's not as tidy as it looks. The window's protected by the shutter. The curtains are not completely closed. The right-hand tie-back has fallen between the floor of the bed and the wicker armchair. That's the right-hand tie-back for the chair on the right-hand side. It's fallen down there, the back of which is stuck to the curtain. The right-hand tie-back has fallen between the foot of the bed and the wicker armchair, the back of which is stuck to the curtain. On the left, the tie-back is hanging from its holder, but the curtain isn't straight, as if someone had tried to close it in a hurry. While the tie-back should have been hooked up, none was in the correct position. Now, I don't know about this, because if I was on holiday with my kids, I'd be less interested in the fucking curtain tie-backs and more interested in locking the damn shutters so that they're not going to be getting out. Like, maybe it's the kids messing with the tie-backs. I don't know. The two little toddlers, they're in cribs, aren't they? And there's no one in that bed. Is there? Is there no one in that bed, or was that Madeleine's bed? I don't know. While the tie-back should have been hooked up, none was in its correct position. Kate insists the curtains had been completely closed, and the abductor must have half opened them to facilitate his escape through the window. Sexist, but his escape through the window. But the tie-back served to hold the curtains to the sides when they're open. To close them, of course, they must be unhooked. So it's in pulling the curtains to close them that they would be in that position. So Kate's saying she left the curtains closed and the abductor opened them so they could get out. Which is weird, because Kate doesn't know what's going on. If the abductor came through the window, how would they be closed and then you're going to open them to get out? The investigator's saying no. In pulling the curtains closed, you put them in that position. So it could be reasonably thought the abductor had tried to close the curtains after he went through, although that would have slowed them down. So we're saying the curtains are dishevelled, and it looks like they've been dishevelled from the inside in an effort to close them. Another hypothesis is to suppose the curtains had been arranged like that after the disappearance. In that case, we would instead be dealing with an attempt to fake a crime scene. So anything other than it was done during the crime or before the crime, any other movement of it is perceived by the police as an attempt to fake the crime scene. It might not be. It might be that the crime scene was cold and you wanted to close the window. And you thought, shit, I've closed the window now. I shouldn't have done that. And my fingerprints might be on it. You know, people make mistakes. So it might not be that they were trying to fake the crime scene. But the police read the disturbance of the crime scene and the resetting of the crime scene as an attempt to fake things sometimes. These first observations are not the only ones that lead us to consider a setup. The way the bed sheets were arranged, but also the child's soft toy equally raised doubts, as can be seen in... Oh, why does it do this when I click the picture? I just want the picture. Open image in a new tab. It's going to be very small. I don't know how to make it bigger. Is there a way to make it bigger on the internet? But we can see the bed, and it's like no one's been in the bed. It's like a very neat bed, and the blankets are pulled back, and there's a soft toy in the corner there. You know, a little bit like you might arrange it. Do you see how the sheets are lying? Do you think the child could have got out by herself, or that she didn't sleep there? These are the thoughts of the lead detective from Portugal, writing in his book. He's made his book out of his notes. You know, it seems like quite a good thing to do, isn't it? So that all these years later, we can almost feel as the policemen did when they first entered that crime scene. Do you see how the sheets are lying? Do you think the child got out by herself? Or maybe she didn't sleep there? Someone could have unintentionally touched the curtains while they were looking for the little girl inside the apartment. I certainly would. It's probably the first thing you'd do, isn't it? Rudy says they'd never leave any child alone, especially in a busy drinking area in a foreign country, and leave the patio doors open. That's true. You know, I was describing holidays where I was in a kids club environment, in a kids club based hotel, you know, and maybe this is a different environment. It does seem a bit more adult, doesn't it? And having the patio doors open over here, while you're over here, seems a bit different. Certainly my hotel room was locked. And again, I'm laughing. I shouldn't, you know, maybe I am being flippant about this. I'll apologise a little bit, but I've got to just be me, haven't I? And I can't help it. Do you think she got out herself? Could someone have unintentionally touched the curtains? If you're looking for Madeleine, if you're in that room, where's Madeleine? Oh my God, she's gone. The first thing you're going to do is mess with those curtains. Are you hiding behind these curtains? Are you under the bed? There'd be the first two places. My child's bed would have been thrown over when I was desperately looking for my child. Do you know what I mean? I think you know what I mean, don't you? I think you understand that. Not the drawers, maybe. I wouldn't assume she... But I would. I'd check inside the drawers. I'd check everywhere. Child could fit in a drawer. Is she hiding in this room? I'd have dishevelled the room myself. I wouldn't have even first thought that she's been abducted. I'd have first thought that she was messing about. So I would have probably disturbed the crime scene myself. It doesn't look very disturbed. It looks set up, he's saying. And the soft toy she slept with, that's not in a neutral position either. How would she have found it along the pillow like that? I don't really understand the wording there, but the soft toy's been placed on this pillow. Like if you're lying in bed with your soft toy, it's up above your head. It's not normal. The mother says the soft toy was beside the pillow when she noticed the disappearance, which according to her was its usual place. Okay, so that's where you put that soft toy. Okay? Which means the little girl slept without holding it. Children normally clutch their security object to fall asleep. But if that's not the case, the way it's placed doesn't seem natural. She would inevitably have moved it in turning over in her sleep. We're saying this soft toy, and again, it's this tiny image, I'm sorry, but other images are probably available on the internet. Maybe I should just have a quick look. Madeleine, McCann, bedroom. Funny, isn't it, that it doesn't come up with as many images as you'd like. You'd think there'd be fucking loads of these, you know, well-recorded images, not ones just... This is from the Daily Mail, so you can only really find these images through the right-wing media that was used to control the narrative. But not very accurate, you know, it's a blown-up 480p picture, but that is the cuddle cat there. So you're saying Madeleine was removed from this bed, There's a little bit of an indentation there where her leg may have been. She may have been placed on the bed. You're saying she's removed from the bed. Either someone's taken her or she's got up or whatever. The cuddle cat has not been disturbed. That's still there on its place by the pillow. Very strange, isn't it? It is very strange. Oh yeah, no, your opinion's right. You know, if you want to be drinking instead of looking after kids, then why are you having kids? Yeah, but that's, you know, well done. Welcome to society. Like, you know, I know people down the road who've got 6 kids, and like, I shouldn't say these things, should I? But like, I know a good example of what I'm thinking is that someone who used to work for me as a Saturday girl, who I still consider to be a younger, like, you know, not because they used to work for me as a Saturday girl. I'm surprised that they've got kids. Whereas me, their former boss and full grown-up, hasn't got onto that yet. Anyway, each their own. You know, there's no rules. You have to have a license for a dog, but you can squeeze out the kids whenever you want. You don't have to. I'm a bit worried about this sofa. Now, he's having they've already done a search.